Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this very special interview with producer, DJ, and of course, drummer Sam Jones. Thanks so much for being here, Sam.
Hey man, thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure, man.
No worries. How are you doing today? You were just saying that you came back from the barbers.
Yeah, man, busy day, bro. So, um, I've been working on MDing a show for a great singer, Tyson. So I've been like locked in at night, like wrestling with stems for a playback rig for a show tonight. So not so much sleep, not as much time as I would like to get my hair cut. So, but my barber is a bit of a local legend, and he sorted me out and gave me gave me tips on me slot.
And if you got a show, you got to look good, right?
Well, I tried, man. I tried. What I mean, look good, play good, something like that. I don't know.
Exactly, exactly. Now, for those that don't know, Sam is one of the kind of leading drummers in this beautiful London jazz scene that's been blossoming in recent years. I mean, you've played with Joe Armon-Jones, Sons of Kemet, Oscar Jerome, obongjayar, and Nubya Garcia, who's just released a new record, and we'll
Yeah,
probably dive into that in a little bit. But I wanted to start at the beginning first and ask how you got into playing the drums and who are your biggest inspirations when you were starting out.
yeah, sure. So, yes, no, it's quite an interesting one, man. So, I guess I started playing about 16 or so years ago. Maybe wow, it's a long time thinking about it now. But I actually started playing the oboe. Yeah, so I'm not from a musical family or anything, but my parents were very interested in getting their kids to play some kind of instrument, and me being the youngest of four and wanting to be annoying as I could, like I literally chose the most annoying instrument. So, yeah, I saw the oboe and I heard it. I was like, that's the one. Um, Fortunately, I guess that didn't work out so well. So I was like, okay, what's next? What's loud? What can I like really like? Yeah, stress people out with, and yeah, it was the drums, man. So I guess I started out just getting a few private lessons. Yeah, my mum just took me down to a local teacher. Um, and yeah, kind of went from there, man, with like a lot of different educational institutions and stuff. But yeah, I guess yeah, we could do a rundown if you want the full shebang.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the things I wanted to ask is if you had like direct access to a drum kit when you were younger, or if you had to go and find the
Mm.
space, or what.
Well, yeah, early on, at my at my primary school, I guess there was a drum kit, and quite a nice, solid drum teacher actually, a guy Murray Anderson. I wonder how he's doing, but yeah, I could go there every now and then my parents, bless them, bought me like a really mashed down kit off eBay. It was sensational. It was like I can't remember what it was, but it was like a 30-year-old performance percussion falling apart. I think the previous owner was really upset at whatever price my parents got it for. So like they beat in the snare drum head so hard that it had like a crater, like a meteor had hit it. Like yeah, it was. But like obviously we didn't really know much about drums, so we're just like, I guess that's what a used drum kit looks like. You know what I mean? But yeah, real nasty piece of drum. But yeah, I think one of my early teachers came over and was like, "Yo, this is this is really unacceptable." So yeah, well, no, they gave me some new skins, and we worked on it and stuff. So yeah, fortunately, I was able to play at home from a young age. Luckily had quite good neighbors. It was the people in my house, my sisters and my parents, that weren't quite as pleased with the noise, but but the neighbors were good, thankfully. So yeah, for the first few years, yeah, running on that hunk of junk, and then yeah, slowly kind of put together a new kit. I was actually buying like one piece at a time, I found a website that sold all these like X demo single drums and kind of like built a kit out of that. So yeah, over years and years, birthday, Christmas, saving up a little money every now and then, we kind of put together this like quite decent Mapex kit actually that I still got to this day though. It's at my parents' house. Yeah, yeah. The crazy thing is now, like now I've got all these kits and stuff, but I haven't actually got anywhere to play. I haven't got a studio place, and what is it? Yeah, my flat is just the walls are too thin, man. I can't yeah, I can't play real drums anymore. So yeah, anything now it's like rent a couple hours in the studio, maybe pull in a favor here or there, and try to get them a kit when I can. But like I look back on those days when I was at my parents' crib, I'm like, damn, like I kind of wish I practiced a bit more back then.
Oh, I mean, I'm constantly wishing that I practiced more when I was younger. So I totally get you. And I think it's just really difficult in London as well because it's so um, crowded and like drum kits are really noisy. But I still can't get my head around the fact that you're like a full on drummer and you don't have access to a drum kit. Like it seems so unjust that you're not just able to play.
Oh man, like yeah, it's wild. Like I've looked into quite a few things. So uh yeah, I've looked into renting like a share in a rehearsal room or something like that. But um you know what it is, man. It's touring schedules and monthly rent just don't really work hand in hand for me right now. Like it's a struggle. Like if I'm paying a few £100 a month or whatever, if I'm lucky for a decent space where I can keep my kit and I can access it at any time to take it to gigs or from gigs or whatever, then yeah, it's a lot of money. And then if I'm away for the best part of a month, it's just money down the drain. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, man. And like, I'm really happy to be gigging quite a lot, but I'm definitely not getting rich, bro. So, like, the idea of throwing that money away is quite a scary thing. So, there's like, yeah, there's things that I do, like, I do a bit of teaching every now and then. So I'll use the studio, just like a rehearsal room, and then I'll book a few hours for myself, and then I've got some good friends around the corner from where I live now that have got a kit. So every now and then I'll trouble them for an hour or two, um, and then a little bit of pads, man. Just gotta get on those pads.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask you about, which is your practice routine, and if it involves practice pad or how
Mm.
regularly do you do it, and what does it look like? What's your approach to practice?
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've got quite an unstructured brain, but I guess so. One of the setups I've been using at home is I've got like a kick pad. It's any old cheap kick pad, like a practice pad for a snare, and then I got my hands on some cheap quiet cymbals. You know those ones with loads of holes. So yeah, just the off-brand ones, which are fine to be honest. I mean, the expensive ones do feel a little bit nicer from what I've tried, but like it's not really a big deal for me at the moment. So yeah, little hi-hat, snare, kick kind of vibe. And as long as I can get both my feet doing something and both my hands, I can you can hit the edge or like hit forwards to represent a tom or whatever, or hit the center for a snare, and then yeah, man, I'll be trying to do a bit of that. And basically like I would say most of my what I do when I got time to do that is like I call it more like maintenance than practice. Like I'll just be trying to make sure I like retain a bit of flexibility in my wrists, a little bit strengthen the fingers. So a lot of like single strokes, double strokes, like 5-stroke rolls, stuff like that. I mean, I'm really into like flam vocabulary at the moment. That's a big thing for me right now. So I'm trying to incorporate flam taps and was it Swiss Army triplets and stuff, and like just trying to get creative with the phrasing with that. But yeah, as I said, that's mostly like maintenance. So I'll be like really focused. I don't know if this camera angle is not going to do it justice, but and just be really focused on like getting a full range of motion in the wrist. You know, I mean, like I go between like finger and wrist styles, what French and German grip, but um like a big thing for me, if I haven't been playing for a while, the wrist flexibility goes down. So trying to just make sure whatever I'm doing on the pad is really emphasizing that. So a lot of molar stroke, but like super emphasize as well, like really bringing those wrists up and down, almost as if like playing congas or djembe or something, you know. Just trying to get that fluidity. I'll be doing a bit of that on my legs as well, just trying to keep that going. And then some like very basic finger exercises. I think I was watching a Jojo Mayer video when I was a kid. Definitely an early inspiration. We just goes through something like super simple. I don't know if I've probably got a stick somewhere in there. Give me one sec. Um, but, yeah, like super simply, just like concentrating on getting a really good fulcrum in between your first finger and thumb, in that nice little pocket there, and then doing like 8 strokes with the index finger and thumb, then 8 with the second finger as well, then first and third, first and fourth, and literally just going tang 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 tang, stick on a metronome and like that's what I call, yeah, that's what I call the maintenance. So I'm not learning anything new. I'm just literally just trying to stay in shape, so when I get onto a kit the next time, then that's when either practice or learning comes in. Those are my kind of like, that's how I kind of compartmentalize it. Because yeah, I guess, yeah, just to run back a little bit, I haven't had a space to practice for years, so it's been like very important to make the most of the short amount of time that I do have. So coming up with a few of these things and really thinking about exactly how you practice has been a really important thing to me. So I guess stage one would be that maintenance vibe. So even if I've got 20 minutes or something, I can keep the chops up to a certain extent. And then I guess practice for me is like, okay, so here's a thing that I'm going to be playing on a certain gig or a style of music that I'm going to play. Now I'm like, practice as in kind of rehearsal. Like, let me build on this. Let me get that muscle memory going. I don't know. Say it's a basic. If I've got a jazz swing gig coming up, I'll be like, okay, let me get my tang tang to tang out, and I'll put on a metronome, play at a certain BPM for, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. And again, I'm still not really like trying to learn anything new. I'm just like trying to readdress things I've already got, just make sure the feel is there, make sure I'm not rushing, dragging, or if I'm in control of those things, like just make sure I'm on top of that kind of thing. Um, so-
It's so it sounds like you're focusing on the muscular and mechanical
Mm,
sides of it, and just making sure that you're sharp. You're
absolutely.
just sharp technically, and then if you need to dive into your bag and kind of dust off swing jazz or Latin or something, depending on the gig, you can do that.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah. Or like it might be a gig where it's a bunch of those things, and I just like, okay, well, yeah, I've got an hour, I've got 6 or so things that to brush up on. This is the practice time, this is the rehearsal time, this is like just getting stuff that you've already got back together. But then I guess the last phase of that would be, yeah, learning new stuff, and this I don't get as many opportunities to do as I would like, because I feel like you need a bit more time. So this might involve getting a book out. Like I'm a big fan of the John Riley jazz books, for anyone that's into playing swinging music. The I've been looking at that. What is it? What's the one with the rudimental ritual? Oh my god, it's a classic. Is it the Alan Dawson book? It's something tools. It will come back to me. But like, yeah, I've got a few books that I'll go to, and I'm like, okay, let me pick something out. Now we're breaking it down. Now the metronome goes slow, and it's like, okay, let's figure this thing out, learn this thing, and then now let's apply it in different ways. Trying to work on, I don't know, say if it's something as easy as a paradiddle, Um, if it was my first time learning that, I would learn it in its original form. Then I'd work on putting accents on different hits. Then I'd work at doing it in different tempos. Then I would split it in half and do the first half twice and then the second half, and then see if that kind of influences any kind of phrasing ideas or whatever. Then then I would start, I don't know, playing a groove, and then I'd use the paradiddle for like the inspiration for some kind of improvisation after a bit of groove, like 3 bars groove, 1 bar paradiddle influence thing or whatever. um that's the learning phase now. For me, that takes a bit longer. It needs a bit more of a focused practice session. Probably wouldn't get into that unless I had like 2+ hours, which is a shame because I'd love to do that, but yeah, sometimes the maintenance comes first. I'm like, well, damn, I've got a tour coming up, and uh, I've probably got enough vocabulary to get through this, but I need to play well. I need to play it well, so I need to make sure like the hands are in shape and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need to kind of be sharp and be ready for anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the vibe, man. But yeah, that's pretty much how I think about that.
I'm amazing, amazing. I mean, I wanted to go back to Jojo Mayer because you mentioned him, and I just wanted to ask if there was anyone else
Mm.
when you were kind of learning, if there were any points of reference.
Well, just to touch on Jojo again, he's an amazingly technical drummer, but also has a great feel. And I think, I mean, I'm no expert, but looking back at some of the like videos on, I don't know, what is it, Drummers World and whatnot, like some of the younger stuff, he's just come out of college or whatever, and his chops are absolutely like blazing. He's doing those crazy Buddy Rich style rolls and whatnot, and it's like, whoa, this guy can play fast and clean, and that's really cool, and I love that. But then I kind of got into him when he was kind of doing gigs with his like drum and bassy jungle dubstep kind of band Nerve, I think. Yeah, yeah, Nerve. So that for me, that was like, oh, here's an application of great technique in a musical way and a style of music that I'm also really into. So that was cool. That was really inspiring, actually. And then I got a hold of, I think friend or an old teacher gave me his technique video where I got that little finger technique exercise, and that was a bit of a game changer early on. It's like, okay, it made the whole like technique thing feel a little less soulless, and I was like, okay, well, if I learn a bit of this, I can do that. I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, I can play fast to impress people in music shops, which I think is a direct quote of his. Actually, it's like you go into a music shop and do the fastest single roll, and then just get loads of attention and maybe some free sticks or something. I don't know, but but yeah, that was a cool link there. But then yeah, other early influences. Chris Dave, Chris Dave, man, and still to this day, Chris Daddy Dave. Like, I feel like there was a bit of a golden age of jazz on YouTube where like there wasn't really that much up. Like, really like starting to show my age. I mean, I'm not that old, but like there was a time on YouTube that I remember when, well, one, there was dial-up connection, and it was hard to get on that stuff, and like, yeah, loading a video took a long time sometimes, but yeah, kind of around back then there wasn't really that much on there, but like I remember these videos of like Robert Glasper starting to pop up, these little bootleg videos, and like there was a classic one in I think it was labeled as Kanye West Soundcheck, Chris Daddy Dave, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't a Kanye gig because I don't know what was going on there, but they were playing a Kanye West tune, but it's still up. It's Flashing Lights, Chris Dave. It's like filmed on a potato or something, and it's like 9 pixels on the screen, but like one of the most like memorable moments of hearing like a really cool, relaxed live hip hop feel. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is it. This is something. I think that there's a little snare lick in there that was probably one of the first licks I took off another drummer, actually. Where I was like, I want to play that exact thing, that exact way. And it's just a micro little thing. It's like 1, 2, 1, got that. And that's it. But I was like, I want that.
I feel like that's such a common thing with drummers. Like you maybe just listen to a track, or you're listening
Mm,
to a clinic, and you just hear something, even if it's just the tiniest little thing. You're like, I need that. I need to learn
yeah.
it, no matter how long it takes. I need to learn it. It was really interesting what you're saying about Jojo Mayer, and how he came out and he had this big kind of Buddy Rich style, but then he was playing drum and bass stuff with nerve, and it's such a beautiful clash of two different
Hmm.
musical cultures and genres. And I feel like I was thinking the same things kind of happening with this London jazz scene, where you're getting the
Sure.
jazz, but you're also getting hip hop and R&B and soul
Hmm.
and loads of other genres. And that's what kind of makes it so beautiful, because it's this mishmash of different
Mm.
musical textures. And one track I wanted to mention to you was "Set It Free,"
Ah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which has this incredibly funky hip hop
Yeah.
feel
I appreciate
groove,
it.
and a great feel. So, and that groove kind of just evoked that thought in me. So I wondered if you could just give a little breakdown to that groove, to that track.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. So, um, I've been into kind of like in between shuffle and straight funk playing for a long time, I guess. I think my main influence on that kind of style of groove comes from people like Clyde Stubblefield and James Gadsden, where it's like it's this kind of, yeah, slightly in between straight and swung. It's not really either, and it's kind of both. And like you can kind of flow in between the few things. But yeah, I would say my approach to a groove like that is first from the funk guys, then through how those guys were sampled in hip hop, like I don't know, say Public Enemy or something like where it's like a bit more like snappy, and then kind of using my kind of jazz improvisatory flavor to kind of put my own slight spin on it, but very, very much influenced by those guys. So yeah, that particular groove is quite interesting as well, because it's the song, the bass line is in 3 bar phrases, I believe, instead of a standard 4, where like any a groove like that, especially is like in if in yeah, from funk to hip hop, it's like 4s, 8s, everything's 4 and 8s for the most part anyway. um but yeah, this has a slightly different angle to it, and I think so. Yeah, Nubya giving me that kind of angle kind of made me want to loosen up on it a little bit, and not just do the straight hip hop thing, but then yeah, get into a bit of that kind of bouncy, yeah, little mix, the flow. Like it's quite hard to explain it, but a lot of it comes back to that wrist thing I was talking about, man. um it's very much also a technical thing as well as a feel thing for me, because you're just not going to get that kind of like loose, relaxed feel without your wrist feeling like that, to me anyway. Maybe there's some people that can do that, but for me, I mean, I've got to really get into that like jellyfish whipping kind of loose motion on that hi-hat to get that kind of vibe. Yeah, I guess yeah, I guess that's how I went for that one. Um Trying to think back to the session now, and
Oh, well, I mean, while you're thinking on that, let me ask you another quick one, which is to do with your kind of approach to preparing these drum parts, and how much freedom you have in kind of
Mm.
seeking out what you instinctively feel is like a good drum part, or is there guidance, or how does that all work?
Yeah, so this is a cool one. Like Nabaya is a great composer, one. She's also a great band leader, and she's like super, super. up for getting the best out of the musicians that she works with. And her approach to that most of the time is to present an idea, tell you what, like, okay, there's this certain thing I really want. I want a groove that is kind of like hip hop and funk, because that's what the composition is. But how you do that, I'm going to leave to you. You know your instrument, you play, and I've booked you on this thing for a reason. So it always comes from that standpoint of like, I picked you because I believe in what you're going to do and what you're going to come up with. So that kind of just opens the doors immediately. As long as I can tick the couple like essential boxes and whatever, I'm gone. So now I'm like, okay, so the bass line's composed. So if I can get Dan, in this case, Dan Casimir, incredible double bassist, to just loop that groove for me, I'll just try out a couple of things, you know. I just see what comes naturally. I think for that tune in particular, it was quite a quick decision. I was like, I know what I want to do on this. Like, I feel comfortable in this kind of groove. I've played these kind of grooves before, and as long as I phrase it right and put some stuff that is relevant to the composition on this groove, then we're laughing. And in that particular case, it was quite a quick one. It was like, yeah, no, this is what it is, and we all felt pretty comfortable with that. And like, yeah, just play it around a few times. If there's like a little hit here or there that's not working, we'll just iron them out. Talk to each other. The rhythm section's a team. So I'm always up for hearing. For instance, Dan or Joe Armon-Jones's opinion, I might ignore it, but I'm up for hearing it, but no, those two are also like experts in their craft as well. So, um, like we find the way through these kind of things together. Yeah.
Amazing. I had one other track I wanted to ask you about. It's my favorite from the record. It's been on repeat a lot, and because it's just the energy, and that's Solstice.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is an interesting one in that standpoint, actually. So, yeah, originally it was like a hip hop backbeat. Yeah, yeah. So the region, the original was like, yeah, right. What the hell happened? Funnily enough, man, that's the one tune on that record where like, damn, I swear I play this better live. but but no, I'm happy with it. But as all recordings, jazz recordings, the ones I like anyway, as they all like grow, like the record's done, right, and then you start touring it, it's like, damn, I've found the juice, I've found the real juice. But anyway, to go back to how that happened, so yeah, the way that tune was presented was actually as like, yeah, just a straight up like boom pat boom boom pat boom boom pat boom boom pat boom, and we played it like that for a little while, and then um, yeah, this is a bit of insider information actually. So we had a gig at um, in London on the summer solstice before we recorded this record, right? Um, and the tune didn't have a name at this point, and up until this point, we've been playing it in that kind of hip hop feel, which was cool, totally cool. Um, but then I don't know what I was on that day. I was like, nah. I was like, there's an energy like in this room, and there's like this day is fun, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna play really, really fast and and just ignore everything we've already done on this. And so I just pulled it out on sound check. I was just like, I'm just going for it. And everyone was just like, whoa, 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 what the hell was that? Like, I was just like, yeah, this is just kind of how I feel like playing it today. And but I was like, cool, great, like awesome, like I like that. So yeah, that's how it became the like ding 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 cat ding 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 cat ding 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 the one, which to me is a kind of like, it's a bit of a mixture between a few things really. Um yes, wow, this is going to take me back. So many years ago now, actually, maybe about 9 years ago, I went to Cuba to one just have a holiday, but also check out some drums. And I had some lessons out there, and I had a really amazing teacher called Karel K. Ramos, who's I think he's out in Abu Dhabi now teaching, but he gave me a crash course in modern Latin jazz. Basically, he was like, "Look, bro, in 5 days." I can't teach you like the real like everything, but I can give you a little bit of a lot of things. Okay, cool, let's go. And then so there's this one groove he taught me, um, which is a variation of a groove called a songo groove, which is it's like a Cuban Afro-Cuban rhythm that is used. So yeah, that's Songo. You can look online. There's like a few decent examples on YouTube if anyone's interested. Um, but it's used in Latin jazz and like slightly more traditional stuff as well. But I just beatbox a kind of version of it. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Doom, cat, 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 doom, 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 cat, 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 doom, doom. So I like that. There's like different ways of playing it and whatnot. But yeah, check it out on YouTube or whatever. Then from there, because that doesn't sound anything like what I was talking about. But from there, there's an amazing drummer, amazing Cuban drummer called Julio Barreto. Um, I think he was like most active in the 80s, made a couple really cool albums, like kind of fusion Latin jazz, big drums, big solos, like, yeah, really cool stuff. Check out some of his music. But he kind of coined a variation of that songo groove that goes something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Doom to doom to doom to gap goom 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 to goom to gap goom 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 to gap goom 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 gap to gap goom 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 goom. So that is on a version of Donna Lee. That is on one of his records. I can't remember what it was, but check it out. Julio Barreto, Donna Lee. You'll find it on Spotify, I think, if anyone's interested. Then from that, I fell in love with that groove a bit, and then I started kind of I don't know, like anglicizing it a little bit. Like, so I also take a lot of influence from like Croydon dubstep. You know what I mean? Like, is that's a big thing in my life as well. And like they've got some cool kind of hi hats and a kind of halftime feel that can often feel quick. Like it's just that push and pull between the half and the double time. So if that snare is like boom, cas, boom, cas, the hi hats could be going. You know what I mean? So then taking from that kind of Cuban thing with the elements of the dubstep stuff, I landed on that 1, 2, 3, 4 doom 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 to the cat doom to doom to doom 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 to the cat doom to doom to doom 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 to the cat doom to doom to doom. Yeah, so it's a kind of maybe there's some kind of way I can put some links on this video or whatever, but yeah, I can cite my references for this one. But maybe no one will come for a lesson after that. So uh, yeah. I'll keep some to myself. But yeah. So long story short, that tune Solstice was completely different. But for anyone who's ever if you ever find yourself in Japan, on the Japanese version of the Odyssey record, there is a secret hip hop version of Solstice with the original groove on it.
Wow. There you
Whoa!
go. I mean, thinking about the bass line now, it fits so well with like a laid back hip hop groove. It makes so much sense. I never thought about it.
Exactly.
But do you ever like switch between the two?
Yeah. So I mean, on live gigs, we like we'll float between the two. Yeah, absolutely. It's like in the Bible, we like let's do the hip hop version today, or let's like just keep it to the original, whatever happens. Or even mid tune, say the is taking a solo when we're doing the fast feel, and then there's a key solo, and we'll just slide into the hip hop one. It's flexible, and that's part of what I love about, like, one, just like the nature of improvised music. There's so much space for this kind of like creativity. Like, if with a different band leader, if I played that beat in soundcheck, they might have just been like, "Whoa, what the hell is that?" Like, get that out of here. And then it would be a completely different thing, which would be fine. But it's just yeah, it's just different ways of doing things. Yeah.
Nice, amazing. I mean, thanks so much for these little Easter eggs and insights.
Yeah, no worries.
As we kind of start to wrap up, I wanted to ask
Hmm.
if you had like one piece of golden advice for drummers, whether it's like practice or gigging.
Mm.
If you had one piece of advice that you could give people, what would it be?
I don't know if I can keep it to one, because like there's so many different stages of this stuff. But for beginner drummers, I would say practice your rudiments. It's sometimes it can be boring, but like get into it, focus a bit on your technique, and it will pay off. If you get some that's good, start with some good habits. It will really pay off down the line. Make sure you do your stretches. Make sure you do your warm ups. Even if it's 2 minutes, just doing some like single strokes and some double strokes, it goes a really long way. Then maybe like intermediate drummers, like learn from the greats. Like there's a lot of greats, and there's a lot of greats in a lot of different styles. So pick some records that you like and learn some of the beats. No, think about why do you like it? Why does that interest you? Why is his snare on beat 4 instead of this or whatever? Like, just try to start thinking a little bit more deeply about what exactly these drummers that you like are doing, and then try to learn some of it, try to apply some of it, and then don't feel like you have to completely copy that person. But like, if you can get some of this kind of language under your belt, it will go a long way. Then for gigging drummers, save your money, man. Save your money. Like, make sure you've always got a little bit of savings, because like the last thing you want to be doing is breaking your back schlepping across town for like really badly paid stuff. And I'm not saying don't do badly paid gigs. I'm saying don't do badly paid gigs as a means to pay your rent, or your bills or whatever. If you kind of get into that habit, and then you start getting to a bit of a cycle of, oh man, like, I'm not doing this gig because I love the music or I really want to be here. I'm doing it to pay my bills. That ends up a nasty cycle that like can that I've seen is like led a lot of fantastic drummers down a route of quitting, or like quitting being a professional drummer, at least. And I think that's the worst thing you can do in this game is quit. Like, there's been so many times in my career, like, not to say I'm doing perfect now or whatever, but like there's been a lot of times where like things haven't been going that well. Like the gigs aren't coming in, or yeah, they're not paying or whatever. But if I quit, you never know what's around the corner. And like, I would look back now and be like, damn, like if I quit because of money, or because I was just doing stuff that I didn't want to do, I would be upset. So yeah, giggers, yeah, save your money, but also don't be afraid to get a part-time job doing something else. It's better to do like a couple shifts in a cafe where it's completely isolated from music and playing drums, like, to pay your bills, than be doing gigs you don't want to do to pay your bills. Um, so like, I've had a part-time job for the last since I was 18 or whatever. So like, we're talking like 10 years. I've been working at a bike shop like every now and then, and like when the gigs are good, I don't work there as much. But when I need something to fall back on, I do that instead of like hustling for these gigs that I don't want to do. And yeah, just to reiterate, I'm not saying don't do gigs that don't pay well. Just make sure if they don't pay well, you're there because you want to do it, not because you want to pay your bills. But yeah, and for everyone, just listen to loads of music. Like I again, because I can't practice so much, listening is super, super key. So like I'll be listening to live drummers, program beats, and just thinking, okay, how is that done? Like that snare sounds cool. Oh, how could I kind of replicate that with a bit of tuning? Rah, rah, rah. That kind of thing. Yeah, man. Mm. No, no, it's not easy at all. But then go back to that thing I said about the Chris Dave video where it was just that micro thing. You know what I mean? It really, I'm not saying go and listen to Armon-Jones and take down a like 2 minute solo. Like for me, I that's completely unmanageable for me. The way I work and the way my brain works, I find it incredibly overwhelming. So the best thing I was ever told to do was like one, if you are gonna tackle something long like that, break it down into microscopic chunks and build slowly and don't get frustrated. But also learning half a bar fill is totally an acceptable and cool thing to do and will really benefit you. That one half a bar that I took from Chris Dave 10 plus years ago, I still use to this day. You know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe I play it twice in a row now. Like there's all these tiny, tiny bits of vocabulary can be strung together into longer things. So, yeah, anyone struggling with application of ideas that they've learned from a source, um, my first thing would be play it twice in a row, play it 3 times in a row, play it twice in a row, and then play 4 single strokes, and then play it again. Use it as a building block with material you already have to create longer phrases so that one thing you've learned can now be applied in 10 ways to the other 8 little things you've learned. So I'm sorry, I know we're running out of time, but even if it's like that kick, right left, sorry, right left right kick. Okay, so you've got that. Play that twice in a row. Play that twice in a row, and then do 4 single strokes, and then play it again. Play it once, then something else, then once again. Play it on the snare, then the tom, then the floor tom. Then play it on the second beat of the bar, starting on the second beat of the bar, not the first beat of the bar. Then the third, then the fourth. You see what I'm saying? It's simple ideas, but like I know it's quite easy to get stuck and be like, how do I do this? But you've just got to do the simplest stuff. And you know what? Maybe 90% of those ideas I had are not really things you're going to use in a gig, but that 10% that you did get is usable, and that's a win. You know what I mean? That's a win. So yeah, everything, small chunks.
Oh, there you go. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing in my next practice session. Thank you so much,
Nice.
Sam.
Oh, my
Amazing.
pleasure, man.
So, Nubia's latest album, Odyssey, available on Spotify and I guess everywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wherever you get your music.
And then Sam's got his own events, gigs, which I think people can find on your website.
Yeah, to get on my website. I'm finishing off a record, so I'm going to be quiet for a little while. But when it's happening, it's happening. Yeah, I'm going to get my own solo project going. So yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned. With Watch the Space. Yeah,
I'll chuck all of the links and everything into the description for people to check out. But thank you so much, Sam.
my pleasure. Thank you.